Hi, this is Caroline from SewCanShe.com. I'm here to talk to you today about thread. So I've had some comments on the website about I'm a beginner, I need to know what kind of thread to use. Can I really use all-purpose thread for all my projects, my quilts, my tote bags, my clothes? And the answer probably is yes, if you're using a high-quality thread. Here are some high-quality polyester threads. You can expect to spend $3 to $5, maybe $10 for a spool of high quality all-purpose polyester thread. And that's okay. Let me warn you, don't use thread that's old, vintage, that you found at the thrift store, because thread does get old and it gets brittle. And that's where you're going to run into problems, is using cheap or old thread that will break in your project. So just be careful, but all-purpose thread is generally a polyester thread. I'm going to give you more information now, and I'm going to talk about some of my other favorite kinds of thread. So get ready. All-purpose thread is generally a polyester, and there is a tiny bit of stretch in it, and that makes it great for garments and for tote bags and even quilts. If the color of thread that you have and you like the luster of it, you like the shine, yeah, it's okay for your quilts. And it has that tiny bit of stretch, like I was saying. And so that means that it will stretch and move with the garment or with your tote bag if you pull on it a lot. And it makes it a little more durable. And have you ever put on a t-shirt or a knit dress, and as you stretch the neckline over your head, you hear it pop, pop, pop. Okay, so that's the thread breaking. That's going to happen even with a polyester thread if they didn't use a stretch stitch on it, but the polyester thread is just a little bit of a backup. If your thread can stretch a little bit, it's less likely that the stitches will pop when they're put under stress. Now, cotton thread is the go-to thread. Where's my cotton thread? Oops, here it is. Cotton thread is your go-to thread for quilts because it's traditionally what has been used. Your quilt probably has cotton batting. It's got cotton on the front, cotton on the back. So a cotton thread is just like the purest thing to use on their quilt. Now, some people will say, oh, well, if you use polyester thread in your quilt, the thread's going to rip a hole through your quilt. Well, maybe if you use cheap fabric and, cheap batting, or if you wash your quilt 500 times, yes, your fabric is going to wear out faster than your polyester thread because it's a man-made fiber and it's going to last a long time. So just think about it. I mean, honestly, if you're using high quality materials, using polyester thread versus cotton, just use whatever works best in your machine or whatever you have the right color for, honestly. So we talked about polyester. We talked about how all-purpose polyester thread is great for tote bags. It's great for your clothing projects, and it is even great for your quilts if you want to use it. Or you can go the purest route and use cotton thread on your quilts. Then we've got embroidery thread. As many of you know, I am a machine embroiderist too. It's my side hobby, and I love the high quality threads because they just cause so many fewer problems on my machine. When I can tell when I have a low quality thread in there because I just have problems. It comes unthreaded, it will shred, it just takes the joy out of it for me because I have to deal with all the problems. Whereas if I use a nice, good, high-quality thread from the start, then it just runs smoother. Now, how can I tell if it's a high-quality thread? Honestly, I can tell because there's a trick you can do with a multi-needle machine. You can clip the threads in the back like you would with a serger and tie on the new color and then pull it through the tension discs. And let me tell you, when I have a low quality thread in there, it's like there's burrs on the thread. I mean, it doesn't come smoothly, it drags. And if I'm pulling a low quality thread through, as soon as that high quality thread goes in the tension discs, it's like, bzzz, it's so nice. So I really can tell the difference, and I can tell that my little machine over there, she loves the high quality threads too. So do yourself a favor and just get the good stuff from the beginning, and you will be so glad. Now, one thing I want to talk about is I saw a bad review for some of my favorite embroidery thread on Amazon, and what they said was, this is supposed to be super strength thread. I bought it to sew a boat sail, and it's not that strong. Okay, let me see here. So, embroidery thread, super strong embroidery thread, is called that because it can go up to 1,000 stitches a minute. And so it's super strong. It can do that on your embroidery machine without breaking. But that doesn't mean that you can sew boat sails with it. There actually is a thread made for boat sails that is sun resistant and saltwater resistant, and it's nice and thick, so the stitches look nice with your thick sunbrella fabric. So go for that, and just, leave the embroidery thread for the beautiful embroidery, and it's super strong because it can go super fast through your machine and it won't break. So there's my thread advice for you. Sum up. Yes, your all-purpose thread will work for almost everything. Just be good to your machine, get the good threads, and experiment. There is nothing wrong with using embroidery thread to quilt a quilt. I have used it, and sometimes that's what I want. Sometimes I will use my cotton thread to quilt a quilt if that's the look I want. And then if the color that I want, I only have in a polyester thread, and I'm okay with the look of that polyester thread, that's what I might use to quilt my quilt. They're all great as long as I know that I'm using good threads in my machine, and my machine will love it and be happy and be good to me back. So thanks so much for asking. I love to talk about sewing things. It's just brings me so much joy. I wish you happy sewing, and let's chat again soon.